Before we dive into this story of calculated revenge, I want to take a moment to thank each of you for being part of this incredible journey. If you're enjoying these tales of empowerment, consider subscribing. It's completely free and helps us build this amazing community. Now let's begin. The notification popped up on my phone at exactly 2:47 a.m., illuminating my bedroom with a harsh blue glow. My husband Marcus had forgotten to disable the shared credit card alerts. Even half asleep, the amount caught my attention. $12,189 for first-class tickets to Bali. Plural. Tickets. I lay there in our king-sized bed, the Egyptian cotton sheets he'd insisted on buying suddenly feeling like sandpaper against my skin. Marcus was supposedly at a medical conference in Boston. At least that's what the carefully crafted itinerary on our shared calendar said. I hadn't questioned it. After 15 years of marriage to a neurosurgeon, I was used to his frequent professional travels. The thing about being married to a doctor is that you learn to pay attention to details. It's a skill I picked up from watching Marcus with his patients, noting how the smallest symptom could reveal a larger problem. Right. Now, every detail was screaming at me. With trembling fingers, I opened our banking app. The past 3 months of transactions told a story that made my stomach churn. Dinner reservations for 2 at restaurants I'd never been to, jewelry purchases from Tiffany's that had never made their way to my jewelry box, and hotel bookings. In the city on nights he'd claimed to be working late. Going to be stuck in surgery all night? Don't wait up, his last text had read. That was yesterday evening. I got out of bed, my bare feet silent against the hardwood floors that Marcus had specifically imported from Italy when we renovated last year. Everything in our house was carefully chosen by him, a showcase of his success, he called it. The art on the walls, the designer furniture, even the smart home system that controlled everything from the temperature to the window blinds. In his home office, I sat in his ergonomic chair, the leather still holding the impression of his form. The computer hummed to life, its soft glow illuminating the degrees and certifications that lined the walls. Marcus had always been proud, meticulous, and predictable, including his passwords. Our wedding date, followed by his mother's maiden name, granted me access to his email. The truth spilled out in front of me like a patient's chart: flight confirmations, resort reservations, and intimate emails with his pharmaceutical sales representative, Amber. 26, blonde, and apparently very impressed by married doctors who could afford to take her to 5-star resorts in Bali. Their 2-week itinerary was detailed down to the couple's massages and sunset dinner cruises. I felt a strange calm settle over me as I read through their correspondence. It wasn't the devastating blow I might have expected. Instead, it was like finally confirming a diagnosis when you've been seeing symptoms for months. The late-night calls about patient emergencies, the new cologne, the sudden interest in fitness, all the classic signs had been there. Opening a new browser tab, I logged into our investment accounts. Marcus had always treated our finances like he did his surgeries, with precise control. But he'd made one critical mistake, assuming I was as uninformed about money as I pretended to be. In reality, I'd spent the last 15 years quietly learning everything I could about financial management, investing, and real estate. While he saw me as the dutiful doctor's wife who managed his social calendar and hosted dinner parties, I'd been paying attention to every detail of our financial life. My eyes drifted to the small digital clock in the corner of the screen. 3:33 a.m. In roughly 12 hours, Marcus and Amber would be settling into their first-class seats, champagne in hand, while I sat here in his office, surrounded by the trappings of the life he'd built and was now betraying. A notification lit up my phone. Our home security system, alerting me that the garage door was opening. The night nurse from Marcus's practice, dropping off some patient files he'd forgotten. Another lie in a web that was rapidly unraveling. As I heard the nurse's car pull away, a plan began forming, in my mind. Marcus had taught me the importance of careful preparation before any major operation. Well, I was about to perform quite an operation of my own. The next 2 weeks would require surgical precision, and fortunately, I had all the tools I needed right at my fingertips. I opened a new document and began to type, methodically listing every asset, account, and possession that Marcus held dear. It was time to show my husband that sometimes the most dangerous person isn't the one holding the scalpel. It's the one you've underestimated all along. By sunrise, I had mapped out every step of my plan in a password-protected document, my legal training from my life before becoming Dr. Walker's wife proving unexpectedly useful. Most people didn't know I had a law degree. Marcus certainly never bothered to mention it to his colleagues. He preferred introducing me as his beautiful homemaker at hospital galas. The first order of business was calling Marcus's office. Sarah, his longtime receptionist, answered on the first ring. "Hi, Sarah. It's Claire. Marcus asked me to gather some paperwork from his office for an urgent remote consultation while he's at the conference. Would you mind if I stopped by?" Of course not, Mrs. Walker. You know you're always welcome here. Sarah had no idea that she'd just given me access to the physical copies of all our property documentation that Marcus kept in his office safe. He'd insisted on maintaining paper records. Just in case of cyber attacks, he'd said. How ironic that his paranoia would now work in my favor. At the practice, I smiled warmly at the staff while retrieving the documents, playing the role they expected. The supportive, slightly clueless doctor's wife. Meanwhile, I was photographing every page of our property deeds, vehicle titles, and investment portfolios with my phone. Next stop, our family attorney's office. Richard had handled our legal affairs for years, though Marcus always insisted on attending any meetings about our finances. Today, it was just me, armed with power of attorney documents Marcus had signed years ago, in case anything happens. During surgery, he'd said at the time, "Claire." "This is unexpected," Richard said, genuinely surprised to see me. "Just updating some paperwork while Marcus is away," I replied, sliding the power of attorney across his desk. He mentioned wanting to make some changes to our asset allocation. Richard reviewed the documentation, nodding slowly. "Everything appears to be in order. What kind of changes did you have in mind?" For the next hour, we restructured ownership of several key assets. Marcus had always insisted on keeping most properties in his name only, a power play I'd never contested. Now that decision would cost him dearly. By noon, I had appointments scheduled with our financial advisor, real estate agent, and 3 different auction houses. The movers would arrive tomorrow, under the guise of a renovation project Marcus had been planning, another detail he'd shared with the country club crowd, bragging about the rare marble he'd sourced from Italy. My phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Just landed in Boston. Missing you already. Dinner with the conference organizers tonight." I smiled, imagining him and Amber settling into their hotel in Boston for their layover before continuing to Bali. He'd crafted his alibi carefully, getting colleagues to cover his patients and having his office forward his calls to his cell. Too bad he hadn't been as careful about hiding his digital trail. Opening my laptop, I accessed our home security system. Every camera, every door lock, every entry code was about to change. I'd learned long ago that Marcus kept copies of his important files on our home server, including records of some rather creative accounting he'd been doing to fund his extramarital adventures. "Time to start the operation," I muttered, remembering how Marcus always joked about my squeamishness whenever he described his surgical procedures. He had no idea that I was about to perform a complete extraction of my own, one that would leave his life in as many pieces as the designer furniture I planned to sell. The grandfather clock in the foyer, a wedding gift from his parents, chimed 1 o'clock. Somewhere over the Atlantic, Marcus and Amber were probably toasting to their escape. They had no idea that their 2-week paradise would become a front-row seat to the systematic dismantling of everything Marcus held dear. I picked up my phone. Again, scrolling to a contact I hadn't used in years. My old law school roommate, now a partner at one of the city's top divorce firms. It was time to schedule one final appointment for the day. The game was on, and I was playing to win. The law office of Davidson, Chen & Associates occupied the entire 42nd floor of a gleaming downtown high-rise. My former roommate, Jessica Chen, had done well for herself. Her corner office offered a panoramic view of the city where Marcus and I had built our life together, the life he was currently betraying at 30,000 feet. "You've been busy," Jessica said, reviewing the documents I'd gathered. Power of attorney, property titles, financial records, and these text messages. She raised an eyebrow at the screenshots of Marcus's conversations with Amber. "He's not exactly subtle, is he?" "Surgeons aren't known for their subtlety," I replied, watching a hawk circle outside her window. "They're used to having complete control," Jessica typed rapidly on her keyboard. "Well, he's about to lose that control. These bank transfers to the Cayman Islands account, they're definitely not going to look good during discovery. Neither is the creative billing he's been doing at his practice." I leaned forward. "What about the timing? Can we file everything while he's away?" "Better than that," Jessica smiled, her expression reminding me of our law school days when we'd stay up late crafting theoretical legal strategies. "We can have everything in place, but hold off on filing until the moment he lands." Imagine checking your phone after a romantic getaway to find out you've been served. The thought brought a smile to my face. "And the asset liquidation? As long as you're using the power of attorney he granted you, it's all legal. He gave you that authority. The fact that he's currently using their joint funds to finance a trip with his mistress?" She shrugged. "Well, that's not going to play well in court." For the next 2 hours, we crafted a bulletproof strategy. Jessica's team would handle the legal proceedings while I orchestrated the dismantling of Marcus's carefully curated life. By the time we finished, the sun was setting over the city. My phone buzzed with another text from Marcus. "Just finished the first day of lectures. Fascinating research on neural plasticity. Missing you." Attached was a photo of a conference schedule he'd downloaded from the internet. Back home, I found the moving company's trucks already lined up in our circular driveway. The crew leader, a woman named Maria, greeted me with clipboard in hand. "Bistai, Walker? We're ready to begin with the items you listed. The auction house representatives are inside cataloging the artwork and antiques." I nodded, leading her through the house. Everything marked with a blue sticker goes into storage under my name. Red stickers are for the auction house. And anything with a gold sticker stays, for now. The next few hours were a symphony of organized chaos. Movers carefully wrapped Marcus's precious art collection, pieces he'd spent years acquiring to impress his colleagues. His wine cellar, filled with bottles he loved showing off at dinner parties, was being inventoried by a specialist from Christie's. Indeed, his study, I found the rare first editions he'd never read, but prominently displayed. Each volume would fetch a handsome price at auction. The same went for his collection of vintage watches carefully stored in a custom-made display case. "Mrs. Walker?" One of the auction house representatives appeared at the study door. "We've completed the initial valuation. Would you like to review the estimates?" The numbers on his tablet made me smile. Marcus had always said his collections were investments. He was about to find out just how liquid those investments could be. Upstairs in our bedroom, I opened his walk-in closet. The custom-made suits, the handcrafted Italian shoes, the silk ties, each item represented a small fortune. More importantly, each represented his carefully crafted image as a successful surgeon. By this time tomorrow, all of it would be gone. My phone chimed with an email from Jessica. She'd finished drafting the divorce papers, complete with detailed documentation of Marcus's financial indiscretions. Everything was ready. In the master bathroom, I caught my reflection in the mirror he'd had specially lit for his morning grooming routine. I hardly recognized the woman staring back at me. She looked more alive, more powerful than the docile doctor's wife I'd been playing for 15 years. "Mrs. Walker?" Maria appeared in the doorway. "The first truck is loaded. Should we begin? With the second floor?" I took one last look in the mirror. "Yes," I replied. "It's time for Phase 2. Phase 2 began in Marcus's home office, where his digital life lay neatly organized on external hard drives and cloud storage accounts. A lifetime of research papers, patient records, and personal files, all meticulously backed up and password protected. Too bad he'd used our anniversary as his master password. "The IT specialist is here," Maria announced, ushering in a young woman with purple hair and multiple piercings. This was Katie, another face from my past that Marcus knew nothing about. My cousin's daughter, who'd grown up to become a cybersecurity expert. "Ready to do some digital spring cleaning, Aunt Claire?" Katie grinned, setting up her laptop. "Mom, told me you might need my help." For the next hour, Katie worked her magic, systematically downloading evidence of Marcus's financial maneuvers while ensuring everything remained technically legal. "He's been busy," she muttered, scrolling through encrypted files. "These offshore accounts. The transactions are coded as medical research grants, but they're definitely personal." I watched as she documented everything, creating time-stamped copies that would be impossible for Marcus to deny. "What about his personal devices?" Already on it, Katie nodded toward her screen. "His cloud backup is syncing right now, including—" She paused, grimacing. "Quite a collection of photos and videos with his travel companion." My stomach turned, but I kept my voice steady. "Save everything. Jessica will need it for the divorce proceedings." While Katie worked, the movers continued their choreographed dismantling of our life together. The sound of careful packing and cataloging drifted up from below, punctuated by occasional questions about specific items. A notification popped up on my phone, a credit card alert showing Marcus had just spent $800 on dinner in Boston. A quick check of his actual location showed the card was being used in Singapore during their layover. "Found something interesting," Katie called out. "Looks like he's been researching real estate in Bali. High-end villas, all in the $2 to $3 million range. The search history shows he's been planning this for months." I leaned over her shoulder, scanning the property listings. Luxury homes with infinity pools and ocean views, quite the step up from his pharmaceutical rep's current studio apartment. "He's been downloading mortgage calculators and international banking apps," Katie continued. "Want me to put a flag on his accounts? I can alert you if he tries to make any large transfers." "Do it," I nodded. "And what about his medical practices systems?" Katie's fingers flew across her keyboard. "Already archived everything you have access to through the power of attorney. Patient records are protected, of course, but all the financial documentation, partnership agreements, and practice management files are copied and secured." A message from Jessica lit up my phone. "Documents are ready. Filing them at 9 a.m. sharp on his return date. Service will be waiting at the Ichauri airport." In the kitchen, the wine specialist was finishing his inventory. "Mrs. Walker, the collection is quite impressive. We can auction most bottles immediately, but there are a few rare vintages that should go to our premium clients. The 1982 Lafite alone should fetch close to $12,000. Marcus had bought that bottle to celebrate his upcoming medical conference. How fitting that it would now help fund my fresh start. Katie emerged from the office, holding a small device. "Found his backup phone in the safe. It's got a separate number. Looks like that's what he uses to contact Amber. Want to see their messages?" I shook my head. "Just document everything and send it to Jessica." The grandfather clock struck 8, its chimes echoing through the increasingly empty house. By now, Marcus and Amber would be enjoying their private suite on their connecting flight, blissfully unaware of the digital breadcrumbs they were leaving behind. "Mrs. Walker?" Maria appeared again. "The art authenticator is here for the Picasso sketch." Another investment Marcus had made last year, supposedly to diversify. Our portfolio, the authenticator would ensure its provenance before it went to auction. I checked my watch. 14 hours down, 10 days to go. My phone buzzed with another credit card alert, won $200 at a duty-free shop in Singapore. Katie, I called out, let's see what else we can find in those cloud backups. Something tells me we're just getting started. Katie's voice cut through the evening silence. Aunt Claire, you need to see this. The tone in her voice made me pause. On her screen was a folder labeled Investment Opportunities, buried deep within Marcus's encrypted files. Inside weren't stock portfolios or real estate prospects, but detailed plans for a private medical facility in Bali. These are construction permits, Katie explained, scrolling through documents. Business licenses, staffing plans, equipment orders. He's been planning to open his own clinic. The documents revealed a carefully orchestrated plan. The clinic would specialize in discreet cosmetic procedures for wealthy clients, the kind who preferred their medical records to remain off official books. The startup costs are massive, Katie noted, pulling up spreadsheets. And look where the money's coming from. My heart stopped. The financial traces led back to our joint accounts, our investment portfolios, and most disturbingly, his medical practice's pension fund. He's been siphoning money for months, Katie continued. Small amounts from different accounts, routing them through shell companies. Classic embezzlement pattern. A new email notification popped up from Marcus's primary nurse, Linda. She was requesting an urgent meeting marked Confidential Financial Irregularities. Call Jessica, I told Katie. She needs to see all of this, and get me Linda's personal number. While Katie compiled the evidence, I stepped into the now empty living room to make the call. Linda answered on the first ring. Mrs. Walker? I've been trying to decide whether to call you. There are some irregularities in the practice's accounts, patient payments that never made it to the official books. I kept my voice calm. How long has this been going on, Linda? I started noticing patterns about 6 months ago. Dr. Walker said it was a new accounting system, but... She paused. The numbers don't add up, and some of our suppliers haven't been paid, even though the system shows outgoing payments. Would you be willing to make a formal statement? Her relief was palpable. Yes. I've kept copies of everything. After arranging for Linda to meet with Jessica tomorrow, I returned to the office. Katie had uncovered more evidence of Marcus's planned escape. Emails with an offshore law firm discussing expatriation. Research on countries without extradition treaties. A draft resignation letter to his medical practice's board. He wasn't just planning a vacation, Katie said quietly. He was planning to disappear. The pieces fell into place. The clinic in Bali wasn't just a business venture, it was an escape plan. A way to leave his old life behind while maintaining his luxurious lifestyle, funded by money stolen from his partners and patients. My phone lit up with a text from Marcus. Just had dinner with Dr. Chen from Stanford. His research on neural regeneration is groundbreaking. I Googled quickly. Dr. Chen was currently on sabbatical in Antarctica. The art authenticator appeared in the doorway, holding a folder. Mrs. Walker, about the Picasso sketch. I'm afraid it's not authentic. The provenance documents appear to be forged. Of course. Another lie in Marcus's carefully constructed facade. The movers are finished with the ground floor, Maria reported. We've cataloged and packed everything marked for removal. The auction house representatives have their complete inventory. Should we proceed with the garage? The garage, where Marcus kept his prized car collection. Each vehicle purchased with funds that I now knew were potentially stolen. Hold off on the cars, I instructed. I need to make a call first. Jessica answered immediately. I just reviewed what Katie sent. This changes everything. We're not just looking at divorce proceedings anymore. This is criminal territory. What do you suggest? I'm calling in a forensic accountant. And Claire... She paused. We might need to involve the FBI. What he's done, it's massive fraud. I looked out the window at the setting sun. Somewhere over the Indian Ocean, Marcus was probably enjoying another glass of champagne with Amber, dreaming of their new life. Together. Do it, I said. Contact everyone we need. It's time to show Marcus that some operations can't be cleaned up with a simple scalpel. Dawn broke over the city as I sat in the conference room of Marcus's medical practice, surrounded by his 4 partners. Their faces reflected varying degrees of shock and anger as Jessica methodically presented the evidence of financial manipulation. Dr. Roberts, the senior partner, removed his glasses and rubbed his eyes. All these years, we trusted him with the practice's finances. He was our friend. The pension fund, Dr. Chen whispered, her hands trembling as she reviewed the documents. My retirement, everyone's retirement. Jessica laid out another set of papers. The good news is we caught this before he could complete the transfers. The bad news is the practice's reputation could suffer if this becomes public. Dr. Patel, the newest partner, leaned forward. What are our options? We can handle this. Quietly, Jessica explained. But we need to act fast. Claire has already begun securing assets, but there's the matter of the practice's interests. The 4th partner, Dr. Thompson, had been silent until now. The hospital board meeting is next week. Marcus was supposed to present our proposal for the new neurosurgery wing, a project worth millions, a project he planned to abandon, I added softly, along with all of you. Katie appeared at the door, laptop in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to see this. Marcus just tried to initiate a wire transfer from the practice's main account. Dr. Roberts slammed his fist on the table. Block it. Block everything. Already done, Katie assured him. But he's going to notice soon. He's not due back for 2 weeks, Dr. Chen pointed out. What's to stop him from disappearing now? Jessica produced another document. This is where you come in. We need an emergency board meeting. As managing partners, you can vote to suspend his access to all practice accounts, effective immediately. The partners exchanged glances. Years of friendship and professional respect warred with the reality of Marcus's betrayal. Do it, Dr. Roberts declared. The others nodded in agreement. For the next hour, we worked to secure the practice's interests. Emergency protocols were enacted, passwords changed, access revoked. Linda, the head nurse, provided detailed records of suspicious transactions she'd documented. The hospital needs to be informed, Dr. Thompson said, signing the last of the emergency protocols. Discreetly, I have a contact on the board, Dr. Patel offered. She can help manage the situation without causing panic. My phone buzzed. Another credit card alert. Marcus was now spending freely in Bali, clearly confident in his safety net of stolen funds. There's something else, Katie announced, turning, her laptop around. I found correspondence with other doctors. He's been promising them positions at his new clinic. 3 have already paid deposits to secure their spots. Dr. Chen gasped. Michael Reynolds and Sarah Kim, they just resigned. Last week. Get me their contact information, Jessica instructed. They're victims of fraud. Their statements could be valuable. The practice's administrative staff began arriving, casting curious glances at the unusual early morning gathering. Linda orchestrated a masterful deflection, citing a strategic planning session. Claire, Dr. Roberts said quietly as the meeting wound down. I know this must be difficult. Marcus is your husband. But thank you for bringing this to us before it was too late. Dr. Chen squeezed my hand. We'll support you through this. Whatever you need. As they left to begin their day of patient care, I watched these professionals pull themselves together, compartmentalizing their personal shock to focus on their duties, just as Marcus had taught them, just as he'd taught me. The forensic accountant will be here in an hour, Jessica announced, checking her phone. And The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit is reviewing our initial report. I nodded, gathering my things. Outside, the parking lot was filling up with employees and early morning patients, all unaware that their trusted neurosurgeon was now the subject of a federal investigation. My phone lit up with a message from Marcus. Just met someone interesting. At breakfast. A potential investor for the practice. Wish you were here to help charm him. Oh, I'm being plenty charming, I muttered, watching another moving truck pull up to our house in the security camera feed. Just not in the way you imagined. The forensic accountant, Mr. Chen, no relation to Dr. Chen, spread dozens of financial documents across the conference room table. His expression grew grimmer with each page he examined. This is sophisticated, he muttered, making annotations. Multiple shell companies, layered transactions, careful timing to avoid detection thresholds. Your husband had help with this. Amber, Katie called from her workstation, found her LinkedIn. Before pharmaceutical sales, she worked in offshore banking, specifically in wealth management for high-net-worth clients. The pieces clicked into place. Amber wasn't just a mistress, she was a co-conspirator. Their relationship probably began as a professional consultation before turning personal. Look at these transfer patterns. Mr. Chen pointed to a complex flowchart he'd created. Funds move from the practice to shell companies, then through a series of international accounts, finally landing in numbered accounts in various tax havens. FBI Special Agent Martinez took photographs of every document. The timing is crucial here. Each transfer stays just under reporting thresholds. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. A knock at the door interrupted us. Dr. Michael Reynolds, one of the doctors who'd paid a deposit for Marcus's Bali clinic, entered looking shaken. I can't believe this, he said, sinking into a chair. I liquidated my children's college fund for that deposit. Marcus said it was a guaranteed investment, limited partnership spots, exclusive client base. Jessica slid a document across the table. We'll need your full statement, Dr. Reynolds. Everything Marcus promised, every conversation, every email. There are 7 others, he revealed, all colleagues who trusted Marcus. Together, we invested nearly $2 million. Agent Martinez's eyebrows shot up. Names. We need all their names. While Dr. Reynolds listed his fellow victims, Katie projected a new discovery onto the wall screen. Found Amber's other social media accounts. Look at this post from 3 months ago. The image showed Amber at a real estate seminar in Singapore. The caption read, Learning about international property investment opportunities. Big changes coming. New chapter. Dreams into reality. That's when the large transfers began, Mr. Chen noted, checking his timeline. Right after this seminar. Sarah, Kim, another doctor who'd invested in the Phantom Clinic, arrived next. Her story matched Reynolds. Marcus had painted a picture of an exclusive medical paradise, promising returns that seemed too good to be true, because they were. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Meeting went well. Stanford wants to collaborate on the research project. Love you. He's getting sloppy, Katie observed, showing me her screen. That text was sent from a beach club in Bali. He forgot to mask his location data. Agent Martinez made a call. We need surveillance at that location, and contact our liaison at Interpol. The day progressed with a steady stream of revelations. More victims came forward. More evidence emerged. Marcus's carefully constructed house of cards was collapsing, one document at a time. Mrs. Walker, Linda appeared with a worried expression. Channel 8 News is in the parking lot. They're asking about rumors of financial irregularities at the practice. Jessica immediately took charge. No comments to the press. Direct everything to our office. Claire, we need to get ahead of this story. Already on it, said a new voice. Monica Drake, the crisis management specialist Jessica had called, strode in with her team. We've prepared statements for the practice, the hospital board, and the media. Our focus is protecting the innocent parties. the patients, staff, and uninvolved partners. I watched the professional machinery swing into action. Monica's team coordinating with hospital PR, Jessica's associates preparing legal responses, FBI agents gathering evidence, and the forensic accountants following money trails. Another wire transfer attempt, Katie announced, this time from his personal investment account, trying to move $5 million to a bank in Dubai. Let me guess, I said. It failed? Katie grinned. The account was emptied yesterday. Currently, those funds are sitting in a very secure trust account, waiting for court disposition. A notification lit up the wall screen. An email from Amber to Marcus. Something's wrong. None of the accounts are accessible. Call me ASAP. And, so it begins, Jessica said softly. How long until he realizes? I checked the time. Given the time difference, I'd say about 3 hours before his paradise starts crumbling. The first panicked call from Marcus came at 3:47 a.m. Bali time. I watched his name flash on my phone screen before it went to voicemail. Within minutes, my phone exploded with notifications, text messages, emails, WhatsApp, even Facebook Messenger, banking die. Error, accounts frozen, need you to call immediately. Katie monitored his digital activities in real time. He's trying to access everything simultaneously. Online banking, investment portfolios, property records. He's getting denied. Across the board, Monica's crisis management team had set up a command center in the practice's conference room. Breaking news alerts flashed across their monitors. Local stations were picking up the story. Prominent neurosurgeon under investigation for financial fraud. We've got reporters at your house, Monica announced, checking her tablet. Security team is in place. No comments, no responses. Amber's social media accounts were suddenly being scrubbed clean. Photos disappeared, posts vanished, professional connections severed. Too late, Katie smirked, pulling up archived versions. I backed up everything last night, including some very interesting direct messages between her and other doctors they planned to defraud. Agent Martinez entered with fresh intel. Interpol confirms they're still at the resort. Local authorities are monitoring, but we don't have grounds for arrest yet. However, she smiled grimly. Their credit cards just got flagged for suspicious activity. All accounts frozen pending investigation. A new email from Marcus popped up. Claire, something's terribly wrong. All our accounts are locked. Please call the bank immediately. It must be a mistake. I can't reach anyone here because of the time difference. His mother's calling, Linda reported from her station. Should I tell her you're in a meeting? No, I decided. Put her through. Margaret Walker's voice crackled with anger and confusion. Claire, what's happening? Marcus just called in a panic. He says all his accounts are frozen. There are reporters. Outside his practice. I'm sorry, Margaret, I replied calmly. But I think you should ask your son about his plans for his new clinic in Bali. And about his relationship with his pharmaceutical rep, Amber. And perhaps about the millions he's stolen from his partners and patients. Silence. Then, I don't believe you. Marcus would never. Check your email, Margaret. I've sent you proof, including pictures of the house he planned to buy there, with the money he stole from his partner's pension fund. The line went dead. Jessica rushed in with updates from the court. Emergency orders granted, all assets frozen, and Claire. She paused. The judge approved the forensic investigation of his offshore accounts. My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Amber. Whatever you think you know, you don't understand. Marcus and I had plans. Real plans. You're just a housewife who got lucky. You can't do this to us. Oh, but I can, I murmured, forwarding the message to Jessica. For evidence. The media frenzy was intensifying. More reporters arrived at the practice. Hospital board members were calling. Former patients watched the news in shock. His flight records, Katie announced suddenly. He's trying to book return tickets, multiple attempts with different cards. All declined. Monica's team intercepted a press request from a national news network. They want to run a primetime exposé. Respected Surgeon's Double Life is their working title. Coordinate with the FBI, Jessica advised. We need to control the narrative without compromising the investigation. A security alert flashed. Someone was trying to access the house's smart system. Marcus, attempting to check the security cameras, unaware that his access had been revoked days ago. Mrs. Walker, Linda called out, Dr. Roberts needs to know, should they start calling tomorrow's patients to reschedule? Before I could answer, Katie interrupted. Incoming email from Marcus to his partners. He's claiming he's been hacked. That someone's trying to frame him. Says he can explain everything. Forward it to the FBI, Agent Martinez instructed. Every desperate lie just builds our case stronger. Through the practice's windows, I could see more news vans arriving. Monica's team was coordinating with hospital security to maintain order. My phone lit up one more time, a text from Marcus. Claire, please. Whatever's happening, we can fix this. Just call me. Remember our wedding vows? For better or worse, I smiled, thinking of the vows he'd broken with every secret meeting, every stolen dollar, every lie. You're right, Marcus, I whispered to myself. This is definitely the worst part. The hospital board convened an emergency meeting at midnight, their faces grim on the video conference screen. Marcus's privileges were unanimously suspended pending investigation. 17 surgeries would need to be reassigned, and the proposed neurosurgery wing was indefinitely postponed. The Joint Commission has been notified, the chief of surgery announced. They'll be conducting a full review of all his cases. Dr. Roberts stepped in. We've already begun patient notifications. Our primary concern is continuity of care. Meanwhile, the international dimension was expanding. Agent Martinez coordinated with authorities across 3 continents, tracking the web of financial transactions. Singapore authorities just froze. 3 accounts linked to shell companies in Marcus's name, she reported. Combined balance, $12 million. Katie intercepted an encrypted email from Amber to an unknown recipient. Plan B is ready. Waiting for confirmation. Send coordinates. Track that, Agent Martinez ordered, and get me everything on Plan B. The forensic accountants had taken over the practice's financial office, excavating years of careful fraud. Mr. Chen's team discovered a pattern dating back further than anyone suspected. Look at this, he pointed to transactions from 3 years ago. He started small, testing the waters. Patient payments diverted through a complex billing scheme. It's like he was practicing, perfecting his technique. Linda brought in another stack of files. I found these in the archived records, cash payments from foreign patients marked as consulting fees, but there's no record of actual consultations. Money laundering, Agent Martinez nodded. Probably for wealthy clients seeking off-the-books procedures. Add it to the list. A commotion erupted in the parking lot. Marcus's brother David had arrived, demanding answers. Security intercepted. Him before he reached the building. You can't do this to my brother. His voice carried through the windows. He's a respected surgeon. This is all a misunderstanding. Monica's team moved swiftly, escorting him to a private room where Jessica waited with a thick folder of evidence. 20 minutes later, he left quietly, his face ashen. He's agreed to cooperate, Jessica informed me. Apparently, Marcus borrowed $500,000 from him last month, promising triple returns from a special investment opportunity. The media circus intensified. National news outlets picked up the story, running headlines like, Healing Hands or Stealing Hands, and Doctor's Double Life Exposed. Sarah Kim returned with new information. Other doctors who invested in the Bali clinic. We're not the first victims. I found a group in Singapore who fell for the same scam 2 years ago. Different clinic, same promises. Get their contact information, Agent Martinez instructed. We're building a pattern of international wire fraud. Katie's monitoring system flagged new activity. Marcus is getting desperate. He's trying to access the house's smart system through backdoor protocols. And she paused. Amber just booked a private charter flight from Bali to a small airport in Cambodia. Alert Interpol. Agent Martinez grabbed her phone. We need eyes on both of them. The practice's waiting room had transformed into a media staging area. Monica's team controlled access, screening reporters and managing the flow of information. Senior FBI forensic accountant arrived with troubling news. We've uncovered irregularities in his research grant applications. Federal funding may have been misappropriated. NIH fraud. Jessica shook her head. Add it to the federal charges. My phone lit up with a video call request from Amber. After conferring with Agent Martinez, I accepted. Her face appeared, makeup perfect despite the hour. Let's make a deal, she began, her voice steady. I have information about everything. Marcus's real plans, the missing millions, all of it. I'll tell you everything, for immunity. Before I could respond, Marcus appeared in the frame. Claire, stop this madness. You're destroying everything we built. I can explain. Agent Martinez ended the call, nodding to her team. We got it. Signal traced to a different resort than their registered location. Local authorities are en route. Through the windows, dawn was breaking over the city. Reporters did live updates for morning news shows, their satellite trucks creating a media village in the parking lot. Mrs. Walker, Linda appeared with a worried expression. Your in-laws are here, both of them. I straightened my jacket, preparing to face Marcus's parents. Behind me, the evidence of their son's crimes covered every surface of the conference room. Send them in, I said. It's time they learned who their son really is. Richard and Margaret Walker entered the conference room like mourners at a funeral. Margaret's perfectly coiffed hair and designer outfit couldn't hide her distress. Richard, retired judge and pillar of the community, looked every bit his 70 years. Show us everything, Richard demanded, legal training evident in his clipped tone. Every document, every transaction, every piece of evidence. For the next hour, Jessica and the FBI team laid out their case. Bank statements, forged documents, surveillance photos, patient complaints, the complete tapestry of Marcus's deception. Margaret's hands shook as she examined photos of Marcus and Amber at various locations over the past year. I recommended her, she whispered. I met her at the hospital fundraiser. Thought she'd be good for the practice's pharmaceutical contracts. The practice wasn't what she was interested in, Agent Martinez commented, displaying financial records. These are transfers from accounts she helped Marcus set up. Money from the practice, from patients, from other doctors, all funneled through her banking connections. Richard studied the offshore account documents with a prosecutor's eye. These structures, they're sophisticated. International banking laws, corporate veils. He looked up sharply. Marcus doesn't have this expertise. He never had the patience for financial law. But Amber did, Katie interjected, projecting her findings. Harvard MBA, 5 years at Goldman Sachs, specializing in offshore wealth management. The pharmaceutical sales job was just a cover. Margaret's composure cracked. The Christmas party. She spent hours talking to Marcus about investment opportunities. I thought she was just being friendly. She was grooming him, Agent Martinez explained, looking for someone with access to substantial funds and an ego big enough to think they could never get caught. Richard's face hardened as he reviewed the practice's pension fund documents. These people trusted him, his partners, his employees. He turned to me. Why didn't he just come to me? I could have helped him build something legitimate. Because this wasn't about building, I said softly. It was about taking. Quick money, easy profits, no accountability. Katie's system pinged with an alert. New email from Marcus to his lawyer in Singapore. He's claiming everything was Amber's idea, that she manipulated him. Forward it to Interpol, Agent Martinez instructed. They're already monitoring their attempts to leave the resort. Monica entered with fresh media updates. Major networks are running special reports. Medical boards in 3 states have opened investigations. The hospital's PR team is in crisis mode. Margaret pulled out her phone, displaying a text from Marcus. "Mom, you know me. I would never do anything illegal. Claire's twisted everything. Please, I need your help." Richard took the phone gently from her hands. "No, Margaret. Our son did this. All of it." He turned to me. "The house on Palm Beach Drive. The one in his name. It's being seized," Jessica confirmed, "along with all other properties purchased. With fraudulent funds." "That was supposed to be our retirement home," Margaret whispered. "He promised to buy it for us. Said it was an investment in family." "Using stolen money," Richard concluded grimly. "How many of our friends invested?" "In his phantom clinic." The answer came from Dr. Chen, who entered with a new list. 8 members of the country club, 5 from your church, 3 from the hospital board. She paused. All trusted the Walker family name. Richard stood abruptly. "I need to make some calls. These people, they're our friends. They deserve to hear this from me." A commotion outside drew attention. The media had spotted Marcus's parents through the windows. Reporters pressed against the glass, cameras flashing. "We can get you out through the private entrance," Monica offered. "My team will handle the press." Margaret gathered her designer purse, her movements mechanical. "All those charity galas, hospital fundraisers, I bragged about him. My brilliant son, the successful surgeon." She looked at me with tear-filled eyes. "I'm so sorry, Claire. We thought he was the perfect son. We never saw—" "No one did," I replied. "That was the point." As security escorted them out, Richard turned back. "Whatever you need to do, Claire, do it. No mercy." My phone buzzed with a new message from Marcus. "Called Mom and Dad. They're not answering. What have you done?" I let the message go unanswered. Watching his parents disappear into their chauffeured car, their world shattered by the truth about their perfect son, Agent Martinez burst into the conference room, her phone still pressed to her ear. "Amber's gone. Local police found her suite empty. The connecting flight to Cambodia was a decoy." "Marcus?" I asked, already knowing the answer. "Still at the resort, having what witnesses describe as a complete meltdown in the lobby. He tried using their business center to wire money from accounts that no longer exist." Katie's fingers flew across her keyboard. "Got her. Surveillance cameras at a private airstrip outside Bali. She boarded a small plane 20 minutes ago. Destination," she frowned, "unknown, but heading east." "With what money?" Jessica asked, reviewing frozen account statements. "New accounts," Mr. Chen interrupted, pointing to his screen. "Opened last week in the Cayman Islands. Look who authorized the transfers. Marcus's mother, Margaret Walker's final act of maternal protection, executed before seeing the evidence. The amounts were substantial. 5 million transferred the day before our meeting." "She didn't know," I said quietly. "She thought she was helping him with a business venture." Agent Martinez was already making calls. "We need to track that plane. And get me everything on Margaret Walker's accounts." The hospital CEO demanded an emergency video conference. On screen, his face was grave. "The Joint Commission is expanding their investigation. Every surgery, every procedure, every billing record for the past 5 years." "It gets worse," Dr. Roberts added. "Insurance companies are flagging all of Marcus's cases for review. They're questioning every claim he's submitted." Monica's crisis team monitored social media as the story exploded. Doctor fraud was trending. Former patients shared stories of unexplained charges. Medical ethics forums lit up with debates about oversight and accountability. "Mrs. Walker," Linda appeared with a stack of papers. "These just came from the storage facility. Records Marcus kept in a private unit. Patient files, unofficial payment logs, correspondence with overseas clinics. Katie intercepted new emails between Marcus and his Singapore lawyer. They're fighting over fees. Lawyer wants payment up front now that accounts are frozen. Marcus is... She paused, reading. Threatening to expose the lawyer's role in setting up the shell companies. Forward it to white-collar crime, Agent Martinez instructed. The lawyer might flip for a deal. A notification popped up. Marcus attempting another video call. This time his appearance was shocking. Gone was the polished surgeon. His designer shirt was wrinkled, his face unshaven, eyes wild. "You've ruined everything," he shouted. "Years of work, relationships with other doctors, my reputation. You, did that yourself," I replied calmly. "Every lie, every stolen dollar, every betrayed trust. That was all you, Marcus. I built that practice. Those patients came for me, not those other doctors. I deserved to steal their money, to risk their pensions, to defraud other doctors who trusted you?" His face contorted. "Where's Amber? What did you say to her?" "Nothing. She made her own choice, just like she chose you as her mark." The truth hit him like a physical blow. "She... what?" "Check your accounts, Marcus. Not just the ones I froze, all of them. Even the secret ones you thought I didn't know about. See who cleaned them out hours before disappearing." His hands shook as he checked his phone. The color drained from his face. "She wouldn't... We had plans." "Yes, she had plans. You were just part of them." Security footage from the private airstrip appeared on Katie's screen. Amber boarding the plane, carrying a designer briefcase that hadn't been part of her vacation luggage. The briefcase, Agent Martinez noted, probably cash, and bearer bonds. Harder to trace. Marcus stared through the video call, his world crumbling visibly. "Claire, please, we can fix this. I'll come home, explain everything. The practice needs me. The patients... Your medical license is suspended pending investigation. The hospital revoked your privileges. The practice's insurance company canceled. Your coverage, there's nothing left to fix." The sound of pounding on his hotel room door came through the call. "Local police, right on schedule. Goodbye, Marcus," I said softly, ending the call as officers burst into his room. Katie pulled up the hotel's security feed. "They've got him. And look, he's still holding his phone with all those threatening emails to his lawyer. That should be helpful." I watched as they led my husband away in handcuffs, still protesting his innocence to anyone who would listen. His perfect world had finally shattered, brought down not by his enemies, but by his own arrogance and greed. The week following Marcus's arrest unleashed a tsunami of revelations. Medical boards in 12 states opened investigations. 3 prestigious medical journals retracted his published research papers due to fraudulent data. The American College of Surgeons suspended his fellowship. Federal grand jury convenes next week, Agent Martinez announced, reviewing case files. "We've identified victims in 6 countries. Total fraud estimate now exceeds $40 million. Dr. Reynolds burst in with breaking news. "You won't believe this. Remember those medical conferences Marcus supposedly attended? He was selling conference spots to doctors overseas, charging them thousands for fake credentials and certificates." Katie projected her latest findings. Found his template files. Forged certificates from Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, Stanford. He created a whole fake continuing education program. "Add it to the indictment," Jessica instructed, "and notify the institutions." The media coverage intensified. Medical ethics experts debated oversight reforms on cable news. True crime podcasters requested interviews. Hollywood producers inquired about story rights. Dateline wants to do a C special, Monica reported. They're calling it Scalpels and Schemes, a surgeon's web of lies. Linda coordinated with patients whose records showed irregularities. Some procedures he billed for, they never happened. He falsified medical records to match insurance claims. Insurance fraud, Agent Martinez noted. State investigators are reviewing every claim. Richard Walker arrived with more devastating news. The country club victims, they're filing a civil suit, not just against Marcus, against Margaret, and me. They say we vouched for him, used our reputation to help him recruit investors. My phone buzzed with an alert from the Bali police. Marcus had attempted suicide in his holding cell. He survived, but the incident delayed his extradition. Typical narcissist response, the FBI psychologist commented. When the facade crumbles, they often become self-destructive. Katie intercepted new intelligence about Amber. Facial recognition picked her up in Macau. She's traveling on a Venezuelan passport. Different name, same game. Already spotted meeting with wealthy doctors at high-end casinos. Alert Interpol, Agent Martinez ordered. She's not the only one running this scam. We need to identify her network. The hospital board's investigation expanded beyond Marcus. 2 other surgeons were suspended for participating in his fake conference. Scheme. An administrator resigned over kickbacks from his billing fraud. Dr. Chen discovered more victims among international medical students. He charged them thousands for fake observership opportunities, promised to help them get U.S. residency positions. Sarah Kim returned from interviewing former patients. Some paid cash for experimental treatments that were just standard procedures. He told them insurance wouldn't cover cutting-edge medicine. Margaret Walker arrived unannounced, looking years older. I found these in our vacation house. She handed over notebooks filled with Marcus's handwriting. Investment strategies, contact lists, offshore account numbers. He left them in the guest room when he visited last month. Evidence of premeditation, Jessica noted. He'd been planning this for years. The notebooks revealed more than financial schemes. Marcus had documented every manipulation, every calculated lie. Pages of psychological observations about potential victims, their vulnerabilities, their dreams, their pressure points. Classic Predator's playbook, Agent Martinez said, photographing the pages. He studied his targets like patient cases. The practice's new security team discovered hidden cameras in Marcus's office. He recorded meetings with wealthy patients, Katie reported, probably for blackmail insurance. Dr. Roberts called an emergency partners meeting. We need to rebrand, change the practice name, possibly relocate. His reputation is toxic. Outside, reporters camped permanently in the parking lot. Inside, FBI agents and forensic accountants continued uncovering layers of fraud. My phone lit up with a secure message from an unknown number, Amber, using an encrypted service. Marcus was sloppy, amateur. You should thank me for taking him down before he lost everything. Check your private email for a peace offering. The peace offering was account numbers, private banks, hidden assets, passwords Marcus had kept even from her. Forward everything to the FBI, I instructed Katie. Let's see how many more charges we can add. Linda brought in Marcus's diplomas from his office. What should we do with these? I studied the framed credentials that had given him access to so many victims. Evidence, I decided. Like everything else he used to build his house of lies. The grandfather clock chimed midnight. Somewhere in a Bali holding cell, Marcus waited for extradition. The extradition hearing played out via video conference, Marcus appearing on screen in a rumpled prison jumpsuit, a far cry from his customary bespoke suits. His legal team attempted to block the transfer, citing mental health concerns after his suicide attempt. Your Honor, the federal prosecutor argued, Dr. Walker's psychological state didn't prevent him from orchestrating a multinational fraud scheme. It shouldn't prevent him from facing justice. The judge agreed. Within hours, federal marshals were en route to escort him home. 6 countries are filing criminal charges. Agent Martinez updated the task force. Singapore wants him for securities fraud. Australia for medical licensing violations. The UK for pension fraud. Even Switzerland has claims. Katie tracked the ripple effects through medical communities worldwide. His research partners are retracting papers, returning grant money. 3 pharmaceutical companies canceled trials. He was supposed to lead. The practice partners gathered to discuss reconstruction. Dr. Roberts spread architectural plans across the conference table. New location, new name, new protocols. Complete transparency in all operations. The Hospital Review Board finished their investigation, Dr. Chen added. Every patient Marcus touched in the past 5 years needs to be notified, records reviewed, procedures verified. Sarah Kim brought reports from the insurance companies. They're offering to cover corrective procedures for patients whose surgeries were compromised. Some cases show evidence of intentionally incomplete operations, keeping patients dependent on follow-up care. Linda coordinated with former patients now joining class action lawsuits. The stories are heartbreaking. Families who mortgaged homes to pay for treatments he claimed were experimental. Students who maxed out credit cards for procedures their insurance would have covered. Richard Walker arrived with updates from the country club victims. The civil suit is expanding. They're adding RICO charges, claiming Marcus used our social connections as a criminal enterprise. Monica's team monitored the media fallout. Medical journals published exposés on oversight failures. Ethics committees drafted new guidelines for surgical practice management. Law enforcement agencies developed protocols for medical financial fraud. Dateline interviewed his former residents, Monica reported. They described systematic grooming, how he identified vulnerable wealthy patients, manipulated treatment plans, engineered financial dependencies. My phone buzzed with news from Interpol. Amber had been spotted in Dubai, meeting with hospital administrators. Her new identity was already under investigation for investment fraud. She's rerunning the same playbook, Agent Martinez observed. Different country, different doctors, same scam. Katie intercepted encrypted communications between Amber's burner phones. She's working with a network of fake medical equipment suppliers, selling non-existent surgical systems to hospitals in developing countries. The forensic accountants finished their final report. The scope was staggering: forged documents, falsified research data, fraudulent billing, money laundering, tax evasion, and conspiracy across multiple jurisdictions. Look at these patterns, Mr. Chen pointed to transaction timelines. He used patient deposits to pay returns to earlier investors. Classic Ponzi structure. Jessica arrived with the latest legal updates. Grand jury returned indictments on 97 counts. The plea deal offer expires when he lands. Margaret Walker appeared, clutching a stack of letters. These came to our house, from families he hurt, patients he betrayed, doctors whose careers he damaged. I thought you should see them. The letters told stories of shattered trust, financial ruin, and medical complications. Each one revealed new layers of Marcus's calculated cruelty. Dr. Thompson rushed in with breaking news from the hospital board. The neurosurgery wing donors want their money back. They're threatening to sue everyone involved in the project. Outside my window, federal agents loaded boxes of evidence into unmarked vehicles. Inside, the task force coordinated with prosecutors to build an airtight case. My phone lit up with a secure message, Marcus's lawyer making one last attempt at negotiation. The terms were insulting: minimal restitution, reduced charges, and a gag order to protect what remained of his reputation. Tell them no, I instructed Jessica. He faces every charge, pays full restitution, and his victims get to tell their stories. The grandfather clock struck 9 as Agent Martinez received confirmation. Marcus was in federal custody, aboard a flight home to face justice. Bet he wishes he'd really gone to that medical conference now, Katie remarked, monitoring his transport status. 1 year later, I sat in the federal courthouse as the judge prepared to deliver Marcus's sentence. The trial had lasted 6 weeks, each day revealing new depths of his deception. Now, justice would finally be served. Will the defendant please rise? The judge instructed, her voice carrying authority through the packed courtroom. Marcus stood, his prison jumpsuit a stark contrast to the fine suits he once wore. 12 months of incarceration had aged him dramatically. His confident surgeon's posture had crumpled into a defensive slouch. Dr. Marcus Walker, this court has reviewed the jury's verdict, the victim impact statements, and your attempts at justification. The evidence presented demonstrates a calculated pattern of fraud, betrayal, and exploitation spanning many years. Behind me, his victims filled the gallery. Dr. Reynolds and his children, college funds now restored through asset. Seizures. Sarah Kim, her career rebuilt at a prestigious new practice. Patients whose trust had been violated, their health compromised by his greed. The scope of your crimes is unprecedented in this court's experience, the judge continued. You exploited not only your medical expertise but the fundamental trust between doctor and patient. Richard and Margaret Walker sat in the back row, bearing witness to their son's final disgrace. Their own civil cases were pending, their reputation and finances devastated by his actions. This court sentences you to 25 years in federal prison. You will make full restitution to your victims. Your medical license is permanently revoked in all jurisdictions. Marcus swayed slightly, the reality of his future sinking in. His legal team had fought hard, but the evidence had been overwhelming. Every transaction documented, every lie exposed, every victim heard. Outside the courthouse, Monica's team managed the media frenzy. The case had become a landmark in medical fraud prosecution. New laws were being drafted, bearing Marcus's name, cautionary legislation to prevent future exploitation. The practice is thriving, Dr. Roberts shared at the celebration dinner. New location, new protocols, complete transparency. We're helping other medical offices implement safeguards. Dr. Chen raised her glass. To Claire, who saw through the perfect facade and brought down a predator. Katie provided updates on Amber's case. Interpol had finally caught up with her, in Malaysia. Her own trial would begin next month, her network of fraudulent medical schemes thoroughly exposed. The forensic accountants had traced and recovered most of the stolen funds. Marcus's hidden accounts, premium properties, and luxury assets, all liquidated to compensate his victims. Linda brought news from the hospital. The new neurosurgery wing opened last week. Different donors, different vision. They're focusing on accessible care and ethical practice. Jessica reviewed the final legal details. Civil suits are settled. Criminal cases coordinated across jurisdictions. He'll serve his sentence in maximum security, given the international flight risk. Agent Martinez shared intelligence from Marcus's first months in prison. He tried to run his old schemes on other inmates, promised investment opportunities, medical consultations. The warden shut that down fast. The practice's transformation became a case study in medical ethics. Dr. Roberts and the team published guidelines for fraud prevention, helping other surgeons protect their patients and practices. Margaret Walker had found purpose in warning others, speaking at medical conferences about recognizing signs of fraud. Richard focused on helping victims navigate legal proceedings, his judicial experience serving a new cause. My phone buzzed with a message from the prison system, Marcus requesting yet another appeal. His desperation grew with each failed attempt to manipulate the system that now contained him. The documentary airs next month, Monica announced. The Healing Fraud, telling the victims' stories, showcasing the investigation, highlighting reforms. Looking around the table at these people who'd helped dismantle Marcus's empire, I felt a deep satisfaction. His betrayal had forged unexpected alliances, created stronger safeguards, and ultimately protected future patients. The grandfather clock in my new home, so different from the showpiece mansion Marcus had chosen, struck midnight. Somewhere in a federal prison cell, my ex-husband faced another sleepless night, his dreams of wealth and escape replaced by concrete walls and strict routines. To justice, Agent Martinez raised her glass. the team joining in celebration. I smiled, thinking of Marcus's last words in court. I only wanted what I deserved. In the end, that's exactly what he got.